hey, like we always do, we just kind of just chat around
We do.
until the top of the hour. It's still 7:59. We can just, I'm sure.
Someone's going to say something.
So yeah, someone is. Oh my gosh, there we are. We can just, I'm sure you could I'm doing like the total noob thing. Did you hear that? That was the total noob thing where I just like brought up our broadcast, while we're broadcasting.
I've done it every week. I feel like
What are you going to do? Well, you know what? It's top of the hour, Bridget, and it is. We are not here to screw around tonight. Tonight is a big one. You remember? Are you joking? Are you joking with me? Because I just said we're not going to screw around. And you're like looking at the first topic right here, and
yeah, that's what I'm looking at. No screwing around tonight.
Literally said we're not going to screw around, and the very first thing that we're going to talk about tonight is the sex first. But hang on.
Wow, we got to clarify that one.
Try to remain calm. All right, try to remain calm if you could. Just find a way to be calm. And I really do hope this thing is broadcasting on our feeds. Because I've been setting this thing up differently for the past couple of weeks. And I have no faith that technology works in the way it should.
No, it doesn't.
Literally, I'm not seeing it on my feed at all. So I'm just going to share it over to my feed right now, just so.
Let's just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. No screwing around. Just do it.
I'll just do it.
Honestly, that's what we're supposed to do. Nike says it. Everybody else says it. Game on. We got to make moves. Wow. We see somebody else had the same reaction I did.
I haven't seen the chat. What's going on?
Oh, Donna. Sex. Wow, it's heated tonight.
Yeah, well, we are going to get heated tonight because we got some interesting stuff to talk about tonight, and I am definitely looking forward to that. All right, so I just shared it over somewhere. It's got to be on mine somewhere. You know what?
Donna, where are you chiming in from? Are you on Facebook? Where are you?
Yeah, we got it. We're good.
She's in. Eric goes, am I in the right room?
Yeah. Okay. Hey, so listen, we got a big one tonight, Bridget. Wow. The innuendo just doesn't stop.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't stop. But listen, you know what? Tonight we're going to talk about some marketing rocket fuel for anybody who is here to join us tonight. Whether you're here live or you're in the replay, give us a hashtag if you are here in the replay. It's nice to have you here. And I love having the people here that we have here every single week. Tonight we are going to talk about some really key and important things in business. And I'm calling this business rocket fuel because building a business is just like building a relationship. And there are things that you need to be aware of, you need to be mindful of whenever you're building a business or a relationship. And we are uniquely qualified to talk about this because we've both built businesses, and you help people with relationships every single day, Bridget.
Every day, absolutely. And if you're in that transaction mentality, chances are the person in front of you is going to notice it. And that's why we have chosen these topics, because in reality, we're all human beings, not human doings. And when you focus on relationships, you build a business. So we're going to talk about some awesome ways to do that tonight for you.
I'm really inspired by the way you put that, and thanks for being here with me tonight. Some people might be wondering, but Stephen Carroll, who is normally here with us, Stephen's on assignment, so it will be the two of us tonight, which is totally okay. Here we go. So the first topic I want to talk about is, I called it sex first. I probably should have saved this one for the end to keep people hanging on, because I don't know, are people going to hang on for what's next and how to thrive?
I don't know. When you start with that first, I mean, it kind of has the potential to, it kind of sounds like you're focusing on the close first. Those people, when you dive into wanting to close a prospect right away, that one night stand syndrome, you've had it, where that person comes in hot and they're like, hey, you want my product, message, or service? You need it in your life. Here's why you need it. And you're just like, hi, how are you? What's going on?
Yeah, I know. I definitely am coming on strong at the beginning here, but that's okay. This is how we roll. So listen, in business and in life, there is an order to doing things. And it is it is the people who go into building a relationship, a regular human relationship, like dating or whatever. If you went into that relationship and in the first instance that you met someone, you were inviting them to have sex with you, it's probably not going to turn out the way you're hoping in your little fantasy world. It just doesn't work that way. You don't meet someone and then moments later, seconds later, you're positioning to have sex with them. It just doesn't work that way.
Well,
it also doesn't work that way in business. And when you approach people in business and you just start slamming them with a sales pitch every single time you talk to them, you're in their face in these Zoom meetings, you're direct messaging them, your social posts are just slam after slam after slam of sales message. It is the same thing as when you approach someone and you say, hey, you want to have sex? As the first thing that you're saying to them. You just don't do that in regular, normal human society. And please pardon me if you're the kind of person that you do have sex with somebody minutes after meeting them. I don't know what your secret is. I don't care what your secret is, because it doesn't work in regular society.
No, and sales stalking, like you just touched on. Don't sales stalk. Okay, you meet someone right away. Don't immediately go and add them as Facebook friends, LinkedIn friends, send them a private message, and then be like, hey, let's chat. I want to get to know more about you, but let me tell you about me. Don't go as the sales stalker mode.
It's coming on so incredibly strong. I'm going to tell you a quick story because this just happened to me today. And truly, this guy connected with me on Facebook today. And I love it when the first question is, Chris, how are you? Listen, we just connected. We don't know each other. We've barely met in any kind of business circles. You don't give a fuck about how I am, right? I hope I'm muted for that, right? You don't care how I am. I see right through. I know I could literally write the script for what's going to happen over the next couple of minutes. Once I see, Chris, how are you? From a new connection like that. Give me a break. And so I'm like, well, I'm great. How are you? And then boom, he hits me with his crypto mining sales pitch. And it's just, it was just like, whoa, he just hits me with all of this.
Well, you can't create, that's creating a false sense of intimacy. He was trying to create that with you in hopes of sharing his product, message, or service, right? There was no patience. There was no waiting. There was no listening. There was no ability to create some real intimate conversation. It was just all about making that fast transaction.
And a lot of people are going to say it's just a numbers game, and he's probably connecting with 100 different people and sending the same message and maybe converting at like 0.5%. And he at least converts, somebody. But listen, you know what? In terms of sales, I convert at over 80% because I don't do that kind of nonsense. You're acting like an absolute idiot. And I'm going to call you out if you're doing this. And you got to stop, because it's nonsense and nobody likes it and nobody likes you because of it. So knock it off. Don't just slam into people with your sales pitch the moment you meet them. No one should hear your sales pitch until like 3 or 4 interactions. I'll do entire phone calls with people, and I'll at the end of the call be like, hey, I got another call in 2 minutes, and they'll be like, I don't know anything about you. It's fine. It's fine. You don't need to know anything about me right now. Everything's fine. You need to really proceed in a not asking for sex on the first date kind of way when you're going into sales. And that means not slamming people with your sales pitch. And when you're doing it, because you feel bad doing it, Bridget. Not you. I'm tossing it over to you. I know you don't.
Exactly. You want to go more into the client courtship mentality, so we're going to completely delete this from your vocabulary, the sales stalking ability, the, blasting people with your sales pitch right away. We're going to step into the actual creating that nice intimacy that people enjoy having, empowering each other and a nice experience, kind of like a first date, Chris, you're married, we've all had those first dates. And, we forget when we step into a meeting with someone. I'm not saying you're going to create a dating experience with them. I'm saying, what are those highlights of what you do in a first date that you truly enjoy because you create an experience with that person? So when it comes, right? I'm asking you, you have a thought.
I was just going to completely agree with you and it's been 16 years since I've been on a first date, but I do remember what a first date with Amy was like, and it's like you do have to do those things. Bridget, go on, keep going.
So your goal is to create an experience. And if you all think back to your first date, you laughed a lot. You focused entirely on knowing that other person. It was filled with intriguing questions. It was filled with questions in general. You just couldn't get enough of figuring out what made that person tick and what their life was all about. So it was always on, and you were fully present. Let me tell you, you had no hurricane in your head. You had the complete mindset to be totally present, engaged with your verbals and your nonverbal energy, which is your largest communicator when you sit in front of someone. So it was all about that courtship mentality. You were focused on enjoying that moment and creating an experience with them. And clients' interaction should be the same thing.
I agree 100%. And I want to just go back to the example that I was giving today of the dude who slammed into my DM today trying to pitch me on his crypto nonsense. Listen, I know all about crypto. I'm doing crypto on my own. I don't need to go through multiple people to do it, but he was pitching me on it anyways. And he just slammed me with this sales message. And it really felt so inauthentic, so uncaring. And it just felt like he just looked at me as like a potential for dollar sign. In my role for what I do, I'll give you, I'll tell you, and anybody out there that does any kind of marketing, here's a little tip for you. I turn it around and I let him do his entire pitch. And then I will say, I can't remember this guy's name. I think it might have been John. John, can I ask you a question? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. I'm like, how well does this strategy work for you in acquiring new clients? And then he comes back and he's like, oh, it works great, which is an absolute lie. And, John, we connected on Facebook, so you probably got alerted to this, and maybe you're watching this. John, I know you're lying because I know that doesn't work because I've been doing this for 21 years. And so I write back to him, I'm like, that's great that it's working well for you. I help people every day do it better. If I could show you a way to do this better, would you be interested in hearing about that? And then they always go silent on me because I just turn it right around into a sales pitch right back to them. It just annoys the heck out of me. You wouldn't ask for, Bridget, I'm sorry, I'm going crazy.
Go on.
You wouldn't ask for sex on the first date, and similarly, you should not ask for a sale in literally your first interaction with someone.
Absolutely. You wouldn't propose to someone right away, right? You wouldn't just propose, hey, this has been a great time. So do you want to get married? Do you want to partner together? We have a few things in common. And I think I can add exponential value to you for your lifetime. And you're like,
yeah.
Not ready for that.
I just happened to bring this ring on this date. Yeah. Just in case. That dude sitting over there happens to be a justice of the peace. In the event that you said yes, that's like the person who has the contract ready on the first meeting. Hey, listen, people, knock it off, okay? Cut the crap. You don't need to be doing that. There is a better way. And let's give them something tangible. That better way is to take your time, get to know the person, see if you can truly fulfill their needs, and see if the transformation that you offer is something that they want. You're going to close more sales. You're going to have better client interactions. You're going to have a better business. And ultimately, you're going to be happier in life.
Oh, absolutely. Because the lines are blurred when it comes to business and your personal life. Let's be honest. Here's the deal. When you're showing up well to meet with potential clients, you realize you're meeting another human being. And oftentimes when we get into that business in the box mentality and that transaction mindset, we forget that we can connect well with absolutely any human being on the planet. We're human beings. But when you launch into that human doing mindset, that transaction way of doing things, you completely lose your game. You have to have game. You have to have whatever it's called, when you're out in the dating world. What's it called, Chris? That game, like you've got game. When they say you've got game, what do they mean?
You're talking to listen, Bridget, you're giving me way too much credit. I don't know anything about that.
All right, so we'll move on. There are people in this audience that know what I mean. I don't know what
Michelle Lee has game. Wouldn't you say Michelle Lee has game? That chick has game.
Exactly. Mojo. Eric.
Mojo.
100%. When you've got that mojo going on, you are confident, you are clearly communicating, and you are focused on, tell me more about you. You come in so easily and effortlessly, you start to exhibit that romance with life that you have. And
when
then
you make it, I'm interrupting you, when you make it all about them and you show them that you have a romance with life by learning more about them, it makes you look more confident. I interrupted. Finish.
No, you're 100% right. I appreciate that. It's so true. And how many people are going to want to work with you if they enjoy spending time with you? They have to enjoy spending time with you if they ever want to work with you. That's the truth. You don't listen. You right now who's listening, you don't like to work with people you don't like.
Yeah.
And if you don't like the words that you're saying, the pitch that you're giving, if you don't like and you're uninspired by how you're showing up, then it's time to make some different moves right now.
Wow, you are so right about that. And if you work with people that don't inspire you and that you don't like, you're going to end up hating yourself. You're going to hate your business. You're going to be dismal. You're going to feel unbalanced and unfulfilled every step of the way. Take the time to get to know them. Michelle Lee, AKBNQ, a bunch of letters after her name. She does the same thing, and she always turns it around on the clients as well. I'm inspired to see that. Michelle Lee is amazing at teaching people how to decode other people's personalities so that when you are meeting with them, you're able to communicate with them on their playing field. And she does a great job with that. If you're here, make sure you check in with her. Eric Rosberg is the king of mojo. I actually saw a picture of that man with a bunch of mojo recently. I'm really glad that he shared that. Nothing made me feel worse about myself. He is definitely, if you're here, you got to connect with Eric Rosberg, not just look at his amazing social media pictures, but because that man is literally the smartest mortgage dude like here. If he's not the smartest, he's certainly their equal. You know, we have great friends like David Pollock, Rachel Pollock, and Eric Rosberg. These people are absolute geniuses. Thanks for checking in. Bridget, talk to me a little bit about courting the client relationship. Sort of blends into what we were just talking about. Maybe you can just share a little bit more about your feelings on that.
Absolutely. If you're listening, you know, everywhere I go, everywhere I show up, I want you to think differently about how you're doing your business. And it comes down to noticing who you're being. So I want you to go back to that first date experience. And I'm talking about your real first date. And I want you to take notice. I want you to write down, 3 ways that you showed up well, that you were proud of. You showed up looking nice, dressing appropriately. This is part of your marketing mojo, so to speak. And then you showed up well, making it all about them. So I want you to write down, 3 ways that you had in your first date that you really, really were proud of and how you showed up. Now I want you to transpose it to your first prospective client interaction. Okay. I want you to look at that and see it as a first experience that you're going to create with it. You've got to get that marketing mojo going on. So empowered client interactions, and they want to work with you because they like who you are and you present well.
I like how you talk about showing up well, and one of the components to showing up well is showing up ready to present as the expert and as the authority. Now, when you show up to build a relationship with someone outside of work, you're the expert and the authority on yourself. And you have to be able to tell the truths about yourself as you're communicating with these people that you're building relationships with, so that they can then make their own judgments if you're somebody that they want to have a relationship with. It's the same in business. You have to show up as the expert, as the authority, and you have to be able to communicate that clearly, without kind of just like guessing, or without taking this cookie cutter approach to what you do. And sometimes it's easy to do that and say, oh, I do it like everybody else. Come on, stand out. Show yourself as the expert. Show yourself as the authority. Develop, ready for this, Bridget? You're developing trust. And you do that every step of the way. When you're building a relationship, when you're building a business, it comes down to, can you build trust with these people so that they want to be a part of what you've got going on?
Absolutely. And you said 2 things that I love that are so true. You must differentiate yourself. You remember going, people who are listening, you remember going on that first date and you presented the best version of yourself.
Wow.
This is absolutely so true. When you were dating, you saw all those other hot girls or good looking guys around you, but you did not see that competition when you were in front of that prospective person that you were interested in. You didn't care about anybody else. You made them feel like they were the number one person in the world. And that is the goal. Every single time you get in front of someone who's a prospect, you make them feel like they are the number one person in your world. And then when you tag into how you can actually step them into the transformation for their life and their business, now we're crossing the streams here. When you step into that transformation for them as a potential client, as a potential partner, because really the client interactions, it's about creating a partnership. It is not this weird, uneven transaction. There is an equal exchange of value whenever you're sharing a product, message, or service. So emphasizing the ability to partner together, what this looks like, working alongside each other, that's going to be what really makes you stand out when it comes to differentiating yourself in your market.
Totally brilliant. And I love the way you really can't even tell if you're talking about business or you're talking about relationships, because they all were the same. Guys, tonight we're talking about marketing rocket fuel, and that is the parallels that exist between building a business and building a relationship. And we've just explored that you would never ask for sex within the first couple of minutes, and nor should you be pitching and trying to close within the first couple of minutes of meeting someone. And in building a relationship, you have to show up. Show up well, which means show up as the expert, as the authority, as someone who is absolutely trustworthy. The other thing you need to be thinking about, and when we think about relationships, is the long game. Look, when my wife, Amy, and I met 16, 17 years ago, however long it was, it's almost 17 years ago now, when we met and we went through that initial courting phase and we were getting to know each other, we were trying to determine, is this someone that I can be with for the long run? And what you want to always do in your business relationships when you're building your business is you want to be positioning yourself for the long game. You're not just someone who's going to be there in and out. Pardon me. You're not just going to be someone who is there just, there and gone. You really want to position yourself as someone that these people are going to be relying on for a long period of time. That's how you build a business. That's how you win. And so the long game in a relationship is this person someone that I'm going to be able to be with and be happy with and feel fulfilled with for the rest of my life? And in business, the lifetime of a client, everybody has a different client lifetime, but you need to determine, can I work with this person over the course of that lifetime? If the answer is not a definite yes, then it's a definite no. And you need to move on to find the people who are the definite yes, Bridget. You know this.
Oh, I love that. It's so true. And when you were saying that, I couldn't help but think, the long game, it's not a one and done kind of thing. If you think about the one and done mentality of like, okay, I'm going to help this client this one time, or, oh, I just want to book this client for this one meeting. And you're not thinking of enlarging that vision for them of what partnership looks like for you, and keep saying, there is more, there is more, there is more, and getting creative. Because that's what it's about in relationships. You have to keep that spark going. You have to continue to inspire the relationship. I think of, I was playing with my boys with fireworks last night, and we had to keep this flame going. And so you just kept, blowing on it to keep the flame alive. And that's exactly what you have to do with your client relationships. You don't just sign them up and then say, okay, you're good. I'm so glad you're a part of this program. No, you want to continue that relationship. So whatever that looks like for you, if you're a coach or consultant, make sure you have another point of connection throughout the week, because there are 168 hours in a week, and make sure you are putting yourself on their maps at least a couple times a week and keeping them inspired and empowered, because that's what the long game's all about. Right, Chris?
Beautiful analogy of blowing on the fire to keep it going. And in your business relationships, you must continue to add fuel to keep that client relationship going. That means continuing to innovate for them, continuing to inspire them, continuing to push them, continuing to help them be the best at what they do. It's just like in a relationship. You should always be helping the other person be their absolute best, and they're going to do the same for you. And that's the way it works in business relationships as well. So that's readying yourself for the long game. And when you play the long game, well, your business is going to thrive. If you ignore that your business is going to suffer. There's really no other way of putting it. You're going to suffer. You're going to have lousy clients, lousy business, lousy income. You're never, ever going to be able to scale. So you really do need to be thinking about the lifetime that you have a client. Bridget, one of the things I know about you is that you are an expert on thriving in relationships, both personal and business. I'm curious as to your take in how you can thrive in your business relationships as they relate to how you thrive in personal relationships.
I don't want to give everything away, but one of the sessions in my Find Your Freedom program does just that, because business and relationships, personal and professional, go hand in hand. And so it's so important to make sure that you are connecting well, but you're getting creative when you connect. So come up with some interesting questions that you feel inspired by, and maybe they're a little out of the ordinary. Some of the questions I say is, how can I empower you today? If I've been working with someone for a while, or what's going well in your world, or something along those lines, like, what was the most exciting part of your weekend? Oh, you did this last week. Okay, so tell me, like, really try to get as present in the question or the scenario in their mind as possible. So if they went golfing, say, okay, so how is your golf game? What was your score? So really start to get into what fuels them and excites them, because that's what it's all about. You don't want to be like those married couples who are sitting across a table and eating with each other, but they're not with each other. They are with themselves, and they are like two people, and they are not connecting whatsoever. And you don't want that client to be like that with you. The reason you partnered in the first place was because you inspired each other, and you want to bridge that gap through different communication strategies, through ways to be true to who you are being when you connect, when you share your product, message, or service. So your number one goal to keep that mojo going for yourself, to keep that flame alive, is to make sure you're coming up with creative communication strategies to make sure you have that long game mentality.
Beautifully profound, Bridget. Tonight, we have been talking about the similarities between building a business and building a relationship. And as it turns out, there are many more than meets the eye. And we've covered that you don't come on too strong, and you take your time in getting to know that person, and you show up your best. Demonstrate your expertise, your authority, your trustworthiness, and be prepared for the long game. Only engaging clients who inspire you, who you want to work with for that client lifetime within your business. And then finally, Bridget has just brought it all together with how to thrive in those professional relationships. So it's important to talk about what's next, because that's a lot of information, and you can take that information and process it right now and start applying it to your business. But you really do want to apply this in the perfect way without having to fail and fail and fail. And one of the ways that you can do this is with trial and error. And I want to give you that option. You can, try and fail at these things and keep learning as you try and fail. And I remember 21 years ago when I started, and I'm sure you remember when you started, Bridget, that you had to do a lot of trial and error to get this stuff right. And sometimes it was a little embarrassing, and you learned quickly, and sometimes it wasn't. You didn't get the information you needed, and you didn't learn as quickly. I think it took me probably a year of guessing before I got it right. So that's one option for you, is that you can go out there and try and fail, trial and error, and keep trying to get it right. Eventually you will. It might take a year. It might take 2 years. I want to give you an alternative that will help you get there rapidly, like within an hour or two, where you can implement all of these things. Bridget and I are fortunate enough to have our individual programs that complement each other. My program is on attracting clients through social media or attracting prospects through social media and turning them into clients. Bridget's is how do you overlay all of that with the most profound, beautiful relationships that start inside with the relationship with yourself. And we have put those two programs together in a very special package at a very special price, just for the people who watch this program. So whether you're here live or in the replay, if that's something that interests you, if you'd like to be able to take these topics and apply them instantly and not have to guess and not have to use trial and error over time, and if you ever get there, if you'd like to get there right away, these programs are for you. All you have to do is hop on my calendar, which is proudy.me, or you can hop on Bridget's calendar, which is bridgethom.me. You agree, Bridget?
Oh, absolutely. And we're really here because we believe that you deserve to have that romance with life. You deserve to have that partnership with not only great clients, but that partnership with your future successful self. We believe that you deserve to create not only those great first dates, but those lifelong relationships that are thriving within your life every day, and especially as it applies to your business.
Bridget, sometimes I worry a little bit with the information that we give out, because we do give out a tremendous amount of information. And I worry that without the coaching and the training, that people are going to struggle with it, and they're going to try and they're going to feel like it doesn't work. And I would hate to see that happen to anyone. That's why we've come up with this offer and these programs that really help you get there rapidly without guessing, with tested and perfected techniques. Well, Bridget, tonight we've been talking about the similarities between building a business and building a relationship. And I think we have rounded home, and we are at home base. For me, if I were to tell you one thing to take away from this, well, it's kind of all of it, but I think the long game, preparing for the long game, is probably going to be the biggest takeaway for you, is to only start engaging with clients that are going to be with you for that extended amount of time, that long life cycle of your clients. Bridget, what's the biggest takeaway you'd like to share? And as always, you get the last word.
Honestly, I think you summed it up beautifully, Chris. And the one thing that I want to leave people with is something that I say so often, and it really sums up everything that we talked about here. And it's, take the business out of your relationship, and your relationships will bring you business.
Beautiful. Final word.
That's my